In a world full of opinions and half-truths, one ancient record stands alone, the Bible, the one source of truth we can trust, and within its pages lies mysteries waiting to be uncovered. We have learned that Solomon asked for a listening heart, and God gave him wisdom that the world had never seen. He was a young king who admitted he was nothing without God, and suddenly he became the voice Israel listened to, the judge that nations admired. But that was only the beginning. Wisdom wasn't just something Solomon received, it was something he began to create. With God's gift in hand, Solomon steps into a season where his mind, his pen, and his leadership reshape the entire nation. This is where Israel reaches its golden age. This is where Solomon becomes more than a king. He becomes a writer, a thinker, a builder, a legend. And this is where his brilliance shines the brightest. Chapter 2. Solomon in Israel's Golden Age. Solomon becomes more than a king. He becomes a voice, a poet of the human heart, a teacher of the ways of God. Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs, 3 books that reveal 3 seasons of his soul. Proverbs is the voice of a king grounded in truth. Song of Songs, the voice of longing and beauty. Ecclesiastes, the voice of regret from a man who wandered too far. But before regret, before the wanderings, before the idols, there was obedience. And obedience brought blessings so great that the world traveled to see it. In 1 Kings 4:20 it says, Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand that is on the seashore in abundance. They were eating, drinking, and rejoicing. There was peace, prosperity, and unity. Every man under his vine and fig tree, every family secure, every border quiet. This was an accident. This was the fruit of obedience. A nation living in the wake of a king who feared the Lord. Silver lay in the streets like stones. Trade flourished in every direction. The temple rose from the earth as the crown jewel of Jerusalem. And when the queen of Sheba arrived to test the king herself, she didn't find rumor, she found reality. In 1 Kings 10:7 it says, But I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told me. In wisdom and wealth, you have far exceeded the reports I heard. This was the golden age, the high point of Israel's story. The promise of Deuteronomy finally realized. And at the center of it all was a king who began with reverence and led a nation in the overflow of wisdom. But now, a deeper mystery emerges. How does the king of Israel's golden age become the architect of Israel's downfall? How does the man who wrote Proverbs abandon the fear of the Lord? How does a nation built on obedience collapse under one man's compromises? The same soil that produced blessing is now hiding the seeds of destruction, and the shift begins quietly. Chapter 3. The height of his brilliance. Over time, Solomon's wisdom reached its peak. His mind became a fountain, his insight became a landscape, and his creativity became something the world could walk inside of. His wisdom became architecture. 7 years of holy craftsmanship, a temple built in reverent silence, stones carved so precisely off-site that no tool was heard on-site. There was gold everywhere the eye could rest, wood imported from the mountains of Lebanon. A structure that wasn't just beautiful, it was theological, a house for the name of Yahweh. But Solomon doesn't stop there. His palace rises next, larger, grander, longer in construction, a symbol of stability, but also a hint of something else. The first stretch of self-confidence. His brilliance expands into literature. 3,000 Proverbs, 1,005 Psalms, observations of nature, from cedars to creeping things. He becomes a scholar, a scientist, a poet king, and the world pours into Jerusalem to hear him. In 1 Kings 4:34, it says, people came from all the nations to hear the wisdom of Solomon, from all the kings of the earth who had heard of his wisdom. Israel enters a peace that feels like a preview of Eden. This is the height, the pinnacle, the moment when all of God's promises and all of Israel's hopes seem to stand in one man. But wisdom without vigilance is fragile, and brilliance without reverence is dangerous, because in this prosperity is where the first crack appears.
It's small, quiet, and easy to miss, but this is the moment right before the drift, where strength becomes self-reliance, where the fear of the Lord begins to loosen its grip. The fall hasn't begun yet, but the ground is starting to shift.